Personnel unexpectedly exposed to radiation in Pacific atomic tests.
Coal to push probe of possible errors in H-bomb test blast. Committee questions AEC officials on 315 victims of radiation.
U.S.-Japanese medical team treats radiation-burned crew.
Poisoned people of Marshalls tell of H-bomb's rain of ash.
Atom tests exposed 264 to radiation. All reported well.
Castle Bravo. Documentary created by Breena, Gilliland, and Tenold.
Seeking to improve the technology of thermonuclear bomb research that was initiated during World War II in an effort to end the war, the U.S. government detonated the Castle Bravo bomb on Bikini Atoll March 1, 1954. This test harmed the inhabitants of the Marshall Islands because they were not evacuated until after the detonation. The inhabitants, along with the general public, had the right to be properly informed of the bomb and protected from it. It was the American government's responsibility to secure all people's rights to life and use sufficient safety protocols when detonating the Bravo bomb. Later, the responsibility of the U.S. government included healing the lands, helping the people, and ensuring this chain of mistakes never happens again.
The Castle Bravo explosion was part of the Operation Castle Explosion test and took place on Bikini Atoll, an atoll of the Marshall Islands. Bomb tests preceding it during World War II encouraged countries to evolve their nuclear knowledge, pushing the United States to improve theirs in turn and conduct multiple bomb tests around the time of Castle Bravo. This event happened during the Cold War, with tensions between powerful countries increasing along with their nuclear capabilities. The United States government, paired with the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission, built the fusion bomb that was Castle Bravo, and chose the place of detonation. They decided to conduct the bomb test on Bikini Atoll due to their previously built military bases, the small population, and its isolated location.
The United States detonation of the Bravo bomb on March 1, 1954, led the Marshalls towards a future of radioactive fallout, human testing, and government secrecy.
Intending to obtain nuclear and political power, the United States began bomb testing with the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission. These tests include a series called Operation Castle. The Bravo test was the first in this series and had a critical difference people working on the bomb did not entirely account for, causing the bomb's size to be underestimated. They were working with a hydrogen bomb, and even though this was not the first hydrogen bomb ever tested, it had a large change from the previous one. They swapped the original, wet hydrogen isotope in the bomb for a dry one. Due to the bomb's incorrect danger zone, not all Marshalls were evacuated beforehand and no one anticipated its disastrous potential. The Marshalls became the victims of this detonation. They suffered from radioactive fallout and were later forced to undergo various human tests to research the radiation. These tests were called Project 4.1. The Daigo Fukui Maru Japanese fishing ship was also harmed by this miscalculation, and as a result was only around 90 miles away from the explosion. The crew members received severe amounts of radiation, causing the only direct fatality of Castle Bravo. This death, as stated by the National Security Archive, helped bring international media attention to the dangers of nuclear fallout. In addition to the health concerns, the island's environment was damaged by the radiation. To summarize, the Castle Bravo test resulted in political, environmental, and bodily damage that caused international opinions on nuclear testing to change.
Marshalls who were showered on by the radioactive fallout of Castle Bravo experienced symptoms of acute radiation exposure, which included hair loss, vomiting, and radiation burns. They were evacuated and moved from their homes by the U.S. Navy 2 days after the detonation in order to decontaminate them and their properties. The United States government then proceeded to conduct tests on the Marshalls called the Study of Response of Human Beings Accidentally Exposed to Significant Fallout Radiation, or Project 4.1. In this study, the Marshalls people's symptoms were observed with great detail. According to at least one testimony, researchers harvested blood, bone marrow, teeth, and organs in order to investigate the fallout radiation's effects. These tests may or may not have been consensual, as information about this could not be found.
While it is true that these people do not live, I would say, the way Westerners do, civilized people, it is nevertheless also true that these people are more like us than the mice.
This is how Merrill Eisenbud, U.S. Atomic Energy Commission Chief of Health and Safety, spoke of the Marshallese after talking about plans to send them back to what he called the most contaminated place in the world in order to attain data on how a contaminated environment affected the people living there.
After 31 years of being subjected to radiation tests, the Marshallese were finally able to escape from Project 4.1 following multiple instances of trying to leave. The Marshallese people's rights to their own bodies were violated, their homes were contaminated, and for years afterward the children had horrible birth defects that ranged from congenital cataracts and truncus arteriosus to supposedly enlarged heads and a lack of bones. This matters because the United States government, who were responsible for containing this bomb, made multiple critical mistakes with the high-power nuclear technology they've been trusted with, and ended up violating the Marshallese people's right to live safely. What if they decided to test bigger nuclear technology and make these same mistakes again, ending with the contamination of the continental United States? The Bravo bomb introduced many people to the reality of the dangers of bomb testing. With the addition of previous bomb disasters, humanity realized that nuclear technology is not entirely predictable. Eventually, above-ground bomb testing was banned with the Limited Nuclear Test Ban Treaty in 1963, protecting the people by only permitting below-ground testing. A different nuclear ban treaty has been attempted since then, called the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, and the United States has not conducted any nuclear bomb tests since 1992.
The base of Castle Bravo's cloud was 60,000 feet in the air and reached to about 114,000 feet high. Due to the large yield of the explosion and stronger winds, the fallout went farther than expected and caused the islanders and some U.S. personnel to be hit by radiation. The maximum permissible exposure, MPE, for personnel was 3.9 Roentgen, which is a measurement for gamma ray exposure. Just to complete the Bravo test, the MPE had to be raised to 7.8 Roentgen, but even that was sometimes surpassed. A human body can't process that much fallout without being harmed. Overall, there was a high amount of unexpected exposure that could have been avoided if more precautions were taken.
Marshallese representatives today are still fighting for compensation. The Advisory Committee on Human Radiation Experiments refuses to compensate Marshallese test subjects, claiming that there is no evidence Project 4.1 did them any harm. Also, the U.S. National Cancer Institute found that an additional 500 cancers caused by nuclear testing are in the Marshall Islands, yet the Marshallese continue to lack the resources required to attain any cancer care facility or oncologist on the islands. Some compensation payments have been made to the Marshallese, but not nearly enough. The declassification of Project 4.1 files is still being fought for, and the White House has released some fully and partially declassified files.
It is highly theorized that the cartoon, SpongeBob SquarePants, was set under Bikini Atoll and the characters are mutated creatures caused by the nuclear testing. Meanwhile, the first Godzilla movie, created by Tomoyuki Tanaka, was released on November of 1954 and was directly inspired by Castle Bravo. It was initially titled The Giant Monster from 20,000 Leagues Beneath the Sea, before being renamed Gojira. Tanaka noticed the effect Castle Bravo had on Japan and came up with the original movie. The bomb is depicted in the opening scene. In conclusion, the United States government gained nuclear knowledge and political power at the cost of the Marshallese people's health, one person's life, and the people's trust in the United States' ability to handle nuclear technology.